oftentimes I look at a cover and be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. But I look at that and think, for the launch of a Fantastic Four book that we haven't had in years, that may turn people off.
Oh, don't worry. There will be about 18 more covers that people can choose from.
Come on and visit for any occasion. So keep patting out, waiting, comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Dal, is it going to be hard for you to spend most of this discussion not talking about Beirut?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it was a good movie. I enjoyed seeing it.
Oh, no, I meant the city.
Oh, I don't really have a lot to say on the city itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, seriously, we just we rushed back from seeing Beirut to record this. Well, I mean, we fit it in tonight.
We gotta record.
We do. Hey, that was my mindset, and I take this seriously.
I don't know that I've ever said that sentence with that much urgency.
The people that listen to this expect nothing but our best. And if that means rushing home from a pretty great movie.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, I loved it.
Great.
I loved it. I mean, it wasn't a comic book or anything, and it didn't have a ton of action. But you know what we have?
No.
A ton of action.
Oh, okay.
Action Comics 1000 came out this week.
It did, that's right.
And we had a midnight release for it.
Yep.
And there were dedicated people that came out, and honestly... Wait, what?
There were.
Oh, there were,
right.
okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I apologize. I thought you said they weren't. I'm like, of course they were. It was
dedicated.
midnight. Yeah. And while we didn't have as many people as we did for, say, Doomsday Clock, and maybe it's because of A, the price point, and B, the number of covers, we made a lot more money in that first, 20 minutes than previous midnight releases.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was definitely worth doing. I don't know that I love the idea of doing a ton of midnight events, but I think a few times a year they're definitely worth doing.
Yeah, you can't overdo it because then it doesn't become special. And there were some retailers who were saying, we should be able to sell comics at midnight every week.
Oh, no.
And I just thought, I don't want to do that.
Definitely
don't want to do that. And it's not like we would change our hours, but we might if other stores in the city started selling them earlier.
I don't know that most stores would want to do that, mostly because, again, it's a special event thing. Like, people will make a special trip at midnight on a Tuesday night for something like Doomsday Clock, for Dark Knight's Metal, for Action 1000. I don't know if they're going to do it for Avengers #1, FF #1, Justice League #1. I think most fans would be fine just getting it the next day.
And while there are people that work nights and this schedule would fit them better, it's not enough people. And I'm sorry if you work at night and you think, hey, but if retail worked that way, more stores would be open later, I guess. And the interesting thing for me about this event, and yes, it's the first comic to ever make it to issue 1000 legitimately with 999 previous issues before it, not just a random special.
Yeah, or like a joke thing about like someone saying, Deadpool's at 1000. Like, if you combine every appearance he's ever been in, okay, sure, but that's not the same thing.
What I didn't realize was it was released on the 80th anniversary of the first issue coming out.
Yeah.
The dates lined up.
That was a really good move on DC's part. I read that today, I think. I also did not realize that was the case.
Yeah,
it was
we
legitimately
definitely
the 80th anniversary of Action #1.
I'll be honest, I think I would have made a much bigger deal out of it if I'd realized that.
Okay.
I think that's a wonderful bit of synchronicity of everything coming together. And our Superman numbers and our Action comic numbers, and basically when we say Superman numbers, we mean as a property. Like when we say Batman numbers, we mainly mean Batman, but also count all the miniseries and Dark Knight's Metal and whatnot. Our Superman numbers are okay.
Yeah, I think they're better now for Rebirth than they were for New 52.
They switched. New 52 Action was the big seller and Superman was meh. And now this time Superman sells considerably better than Action. And while we anticipate an uptick, an increase in sales for both of those titles when Brian Michael Bendis comes on, I wouldn't say we have a core Superman group. Like, in the past month or so, I've encountered people not from Chicago who have this lifelong affinity with Superman, as I do for Captain America. Okay. Superman is the end-all, be-all. And you see a lot of athletes and entertainers that have Superman tattoos, and it was pointed out by our club member Chris Markham that Sammy Davis Jr. was a huge Superman fan and always would wear a Superman pin somewhere on his performance outfits. But we don't have that many people that are that vocal or that dedicated.
Yeah.
But we did see a bunch of people come out for Action number 1000, and it gave us a good day. Like, it's not...
Absolutely.
Yeah, a solid day. A day that we were both pleased with.
Sure.
Not our best day.
No, but I mean, for a Wednesday, I was really happy with that.
Sure.
number.
But then I talked to retailers who did, like, the best Wednesday they ever did, or 6 times their normal Wednesday.
Yeah.
And, like, we almost doubled. I mean, not quite, but we almost doubled a Wednesday.
We hear that occasionally, and, like, we saw stores that were doing midnight releases, I think, for Metal or Doomsday Clock, and the line was just massive. Like, I don't know that we see that many people on a free comic book day, and they were just like, yeah, we had a midnight release, so 500 people showed up for this. It's like, how is that even possible? Where in the world are you where that's viable? Like, even if we were the only store within, like, in Cook County, I don't know that we could manage that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, I know that, and Skokie was open at midnight, and we were. I'm not sure who else. First Aid, I want to say at least First Aid Hyde Park.
Okay.
Actually had Christopher Reeve's Superman cape.
That's cool.
I guess Art Balthazar owns it, or like one of them.
Yeah.
So that was there. And then that's neat. That's a fun thing. But it's not like the city of Chicago was knocking down our door to get this book.
Yeah, again, there were a core dedicated group of fans, but it wasn't, in the hundreds. It was, a nice group of people who were willing to come out at midnight and grab the book or a few copies of it.
Historically, when we've done midnight releases, when they were more of a novelty and for bigger deals, for example, we went all out for New 52. We had a...
Oh, for Flashpoint and for Justice League?
Was that what it was? That
yeah,
specific?
they both came out on the same day. It was Flashpoint 5 and Justice League 1 were like the same day.
Oh, right, Justice League 1. I'm like, okay, yeah. I the way you were saying it made me think it was a New 52. But yeah, but for the and we had events. We had trivia. We had stuff happening.
Avengers X-Men. We had people in costume.
Yeah,
employees who dressed up in friends of the store.
And those we had bigger crowds, but.
That's the thing, though. For Avengers X-Men, we didn't. That was so weird. Was we went all out, and most people didn't care.
Yeah,
they just came for the book. That was it. Like, that's why we used to open up at like 11, and then we'd have like an hour of like, oh, we're going to play cartoons or movies, or we're going to do trivia games, or we're going to do all this stuff. And for the most part, like 3 or 4 people would be there, and they wouldn't care. And then midnight would happen, and more people would show up.
I specifically remember the New 52 one. Had a lot of people, and it was a big deal, and a lot of people participated in the trivia.
Rebirth was the same way.
And there was a Saga one we did as well.
Oh, God, the Saga one where like 4 people showed up.
No, Saga we had like 8 people playing the trivia game.
Okay, I remember less than that, but maybe
I remember about 8 people.
Okay.
I'm pointing to that as a better attended one, and it's funny that you have it as a bad one.
No, the ones that I think of as successful, where a lot of people turned out, or we had a really good response from people, it would be the DC Universe Rebirth special, because that was a big line. We had all the midnight variant. People were flipping out, and then Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim, far and away.
Easily the one where we had, I think, 100 copies in stock, and we sold out before midnight.
Yeah,
like we were people who were coming in at 11:58 were like, don't bother, we don't have enough copies for you. And that was one where, like, that was an early success where I'm like, holy shit, like, we can actually do something with this. And then, like, almost every other midnight event, like, no one cared.
Well,
or didn't care on nearly the same level.
I mean, look at the book club we did for Scott Pilgrim. We did one a week leading up to the release of Volume 6. And number 1 was packed.
Yep.
And by number 6, it was a handful.
Yeah.
Just a couple people.
Yep.
Or by number 5, I guess. I mean, we didn't... Did we do a...
I don't think we did, because it was 1 through 5 taking place in the run-up to the release of 6.
Yeah. I mean, Scott Pilgrim, though, was such lightning in a bottle. That's the kind of thing that we would love to do again. But, and I guess it was Rebirth where I stayed open the whole time.
I think so.
And Oni sent us donuts from Do Right Donuts.
Yeah, it was nice.
And they were delicious. I still remember them. Thanks, James Lucas Jones, who literally set his alarm to wake up at like 4 a.m. his time to be able to order donuts for me at 6 a.m.
Neat.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do more midnight events, but I think the days of us really making an event out of it are probably over.
Unless it's something that
we
think merits it.
Yeah, it just feels like we don't even the promotion we do for it is somewhat limited now. Like, we don't do huge banners and all sorts of stuff. It's just like, we'll have a flyer in the store, we'll put it on the website, people find out about it, they come out. Like, the return on investment is way better for the last few that we've done, where even if, half as many people show up, we didn't spend nearly as much time and money on getting that half of an amount of people to show up.
Yeah, I look at other retailers that had done midnight events and went all out and had like a dedicated section in the store for it, and so many people wore the red trunks over their work clothes for the day, and so many different Superman cookies and different cosplay.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised that DC didn't make more of an event out of it. I mean, obviously the Action Comics 1000 is an event in its publication and the amount of covers and whatever, but it didn't feel like the promotional element on their end exceeded, we'll let you sell it at midnight. Like, where were giveaways? Where were Superman stickers or buttons or, Action Comics 1000 T-shirts for staff or for
those exist.
Do they?
Yeah. A, we got them at the Retailer Summit.
Oh, okay.
And B, they were orderable.
Oh, were they?
But yeah.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'll dial it back to just where were the giveaway stuff? Where's the giveaway thing?
Why not make this Superman Day for the year?
Yeah, especially if it's the actual 80th birthday of the character.
And my point was that I think it's great. I love that people are doing it.
Sure.
I wish that we had that type of, let's do this, but it wouldn't have changed our sales.
A lot of it just comes down to the experiences we've had, putting a ton of effort in versus putting not as much effort in. And when the sales are the same, what is the impetus for putting more energy into it? Like, why do more planning? Why do trivia contests? Why do, screenings? Why do all this sort of game stuff when you'll sell the same amount of copies either way?
Yeah.
I like showing up at 11:59, unlocking the door, staying there for 45 minutes and going home. That's great.
I mean, that was, it was a Tuesday, so it was get the new books, get them sorted. It was a much bigger day sorting because of the 10 different action covers and because of how thick they were, they took up a lot more room. And then I had to leave early because I had band practice.
Yeah, for me, after 7 o'clock, I ate dinner, I went home, I watched some TV.
Wait, did you eat dinner and then go home, or did you go home and then eat dinner?
I ate dinner and then went home.
Oh, okay.
So it was not a night where I had to spend a bunch of time making sure everything was ready to go and getting to the store an hour early and doing... no, it was ready to go.
I had to get back into town. I was in Mokina. I had to get back in town and just enough time to get back to the store for it. So, long day.
Yeah.
But fun, and I do like these, and I definitely imagine we'll be doing one for Detective 1000.
Yeah, I assume there'll be something between now and then that DC will want to do or Marvel will want to do, and when they make the offer, and if it's something that we feel like people will care about, then yeah, we'll probably do it.
So looking at the success of Action 1000, and it's technically not sold out yet as of this recording.
Yeah.
However, earlier in the week, we found out that all the covers were still available, and we said, maybe we should get some more.
Yeah, especially because we've been getting more phone calls from people that are not normal customers asking about the midnight release, asking about covers and copies, and it started to feel like, while we ordered a lot, it still felt like maybe the demand is actually going to be there above and beyond our regular customer base.
So we were talking about it via Messenger, and you were placing an order, and literally as you were placing it, somebody called to say, "Are you going to have Action 1000?
Yeah, are you guys going to be open at midnight for Action 1000? Let's up that number that I just typed in to double what I just typed in, because, yes, there's clearly an interest. And luckily, we were almost sold out of the Jim Lee main cover when the restock came in, which was great.
But we didn't sell out.
Yeah, there was never a point where we were out of, all covers or even the main cover of Action 1000. We still had, I think, 4 or 5 copies left. when the reorder came in, which was great.
And at this point, we're out of a couple of the decade covers.
We're out of the 30s, 40s, and 60s, and the blank cover, I think, are the only ones that we're out of. And we have, I mean, at time of recording, we have a smattering of the other covers left. I think no more than 5 copies of any one of the decade variants.
But obviously we went the highest on the Jim Lee cover because that's the main cover.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we've got that one at the very least. And we'll have that one, I think, through hopefully another week or so at least. But I expect most of the variants we will be out of by the 25th, which is a week after release.
The guy who bought multiple copies of the blank cover and then brought one back because he wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
Apparently he thought there should have been an image on the cover. I don't know. That's weird.
There were a couple people who would buy a copy and then come back and like, can I get a different one instead? And it's like, I will sell this one that there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah.
Sure. And we did. So fine.
Was it because they wanted a different cover, or...?
No, they just got real finicky about the condition.
Oh,
it's
I
like,
see.
there's nothing wrong with this cover, but if you can't live with it, fine, I don't care.
And, like, honestly, it's not the best quality package, but, I mean, you get what is it, 80 pages?
I think it's 80 pages. I could be wrong.
And it was $8 and there's no ads.
No ads.
I mean, it's definitely worth the money, in my opinion.
Think so.
And we were pleasantly surprised to find that it fits into a current bag and board, so we didn't have to have different sizes set out for anybody.
It's snug, but it fits.
But so the specifically the guy who was very picky about the blank covers.
Sure.
When he came back to exchange one, then I was over sorting the back issues, and he's like, "So which one should I get?" Because he was swapping out.
Sure.
And I just, with that guy, I didn't want that conversation.
Sure.
Because like, don't pretend that you're doing it because you're a fan. At that point, like, I'm not saying everybody who bought multiple covers is doing it for speculation. I'm also not saying this book is going to be worth anything over cover.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it would have been value, but honestly, I'm surprised that nearly anything that goes in value. There's been a few books recently that have gone into multiple printings, and it's like, how is there an audience for this?
Yeah.
How is this that in demand? But there are certainly books that are doing that.
But he was all, so which one should I get? I'm like, whatever one you think looks the best. No, but what would you get? I would get whichever one I think looks the best. Which one is it? You know what? It's none of them. For me, it's none of them. I wouldn't get any of them. What? Yeah, I would not buy any of these. I clearly didn't want that conversation.
Clearly.
And he wasn't, like, if he was like, oh, I'm torn, like, this Mike Allred one is great, or I like the Steranko one. I did have somebody call it just wanting the Steranko one.
That's cool. That was the one that I thought would be of least popularity. Like
that was your least favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a few that I wasn't crazy about, but in general, that was one I'm like, I don't know if there's a huge audience for this. I know there's a few people who requested specifically the Steranko cover. But as it turns out, based on what we have left, not counting the main cover, which we got way more of, it was the Dave Gibbons 1950s cover that was the least popular with people at Challengers. That's the one that we had the most left over of last I checked.
And I want to say it was the 1960s one that went the first.
No, it was the 1940s that went first.
Oh, the Michael Cho.
Michael Cho one went first.
Oh,
the World War II cover went first. Then I think the 30s and the 60s went pretty much around the same time. Or maybe the sketch cover, which we ordered a lot less of.
Oh, yeah. I don't even count that, really.
Yeah.
Like, people would say, how many covers? Like, well, 9, plus a sketch one, plus as many stores did their own covers. Lots of stores did variant covers, and artists did their own covers as well.
Sure.
You know, the same way that Alex Ross or J. Scott Campbell do Marvel books.
Yeah. Good money for them.
Yeah. As I was trying to segue in before, and we got derailed a little bit, that just because this works for a publisher, and I think it worked well because DC had a different theme for each cover. It was a decade. They tried to match the art style and even the logo and the layout.
It wasn't the way like Marvel usually do it.
Well, that segues right into Amazing Spider-Man number 800, which every day Marvel is announcing more variant covers.
Yep.
And
they're not built around anything. It's like Marvel will frequently do that, where they'll have like a bunch of covers for like, you know, Iron Man number 1 or Thor number 1, and it'll just be like, I don't know, here's a bunch of artists. Some of them have worked on the characters, some of them haven't. Some of them are young guns, some of them are folks that we like, and some of them are just, I don't know, this person was around, so, you know, Yasmin Putri's doing this variant or whatever. Like, All right, cool.
The 27 different armored covers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same background image, just the armor is different in the front. I mean, at least that's a gimmick, that's a hook.
Sure.
Did we have anybody request all of them?
No. I don't know that we have enough diehard Marvel fans that would do that for any Marvel book anymore.
But for this Amazing Spider-Man 800, every day it's a new email. Just today they announced 2 new Mobius covers.
Yeah,
Yesterday it was Greg Land. It's been Ron Frenz and Sal Buscema. And our FOCs on this book are this week, which means the book is coming out in 3 weeks.
It is, yeah.
This would have been great information to have when we were placing initial orders and getting people excited for ahead of time. Because I'll be honest, we're not going to order these.
Yeah.
Because it sends Marvel the wrong message. Like, hey, you can dick us around as long as you want. Yeah. And just because
it's
worked
bad enough with their like classified bullshit.
Oh, we'll get to the X-Men, don't worry. But, DC was upfront with this all along, and I firmly believe that this is just reaction to Action 1000. And I guarantee you, if anyone from Marvel was here, they would say, no, it's completely independent. It has nothing to do with them. We didn't even know they were doing that. I wouldn't believe them.
I'm trying to get into the Diamond site to see how many Amazing 800 covers actually exist, but it keeps giving me an error that says, sorry, an error occurred while processing your request.
So maybe they're down.
I guess. I mean,
and this is some of these Marvel announcements are open order, which again, man, too little, too late. Like when we do this 2 months out, we can figure out what percentages we want to have of the main cover, and if it's open order, which I appreciate them doing, but not the last second, and not keep guessing. And I hate it when we get phone calls or emails from people before we even know the covers exist.
Yeah, for sure.
I've complained before on this very podcast about we get PR emails from Marvel with all their announcements well after the general public gets them.
Yeah, like
these articles are already hit like
bleeding cool.
Bleeding cool. Well, no, but I mean Marvel specifically gives different announcements to different news outlets.
Sure.
So a press release that we get has already been up on USA Today, or has already been on CBR or on Sci-Fi.com or whatever.
Right.
Like they're telling the news media before their retail partners, and I understand part of that is because they can't trust retailers to not immediately blab that information.
I mean, some of it is also if you want to make sure they run it. If you tell them it's exclusive, they'll run it. So promotionally, it makes some sense to do it that way.
As the person that is actually needing this information and ordering based off of it, I don't like getting it last.
I understand that. I think that's fair. I'm not a fan of how Marvel doles out information. It's hard to get upset about it because it's just, for me, it's how Marvel does things. I wish they wouldn't, but until the whole industry stops rewarding them, this is just how it's going to be. Yeah,
we just have to get them to stop.
They're not. Why would they stop?
So, I still have to do the June orders this upcoming week, but you've already started looking at the July previews.
I have, it's true.
What is the X-Men book that's being listed for July? I'm going to ask you several questions.
Yeah.
1, what's the title of this book?
X Classified.
2, no, hold on.
Okay.
You answer them all at the end.
I see.
2, what's the creative team? 3, what is the lineup of the team?
4, what is the synopsis of the book?
Sure.
Classified.
The answer to all those questions is classified.
It's classified.
That's all Marvel told us. We don't even know the name of the book. It's X Classified, written and drawn by Classified, starring Classified, about Classified.
I was looking in the email to see if maybe there's a listing of all the Amazing 800 covers, and of course there's not.
No, in an email that goes to retailers?
My favorite part is at the
helpful?
end of the section where they have all the new covers they've listed. I want to get this exactly right. There's a sentence at the end of it that I thought is I think the biggest slap in the face about the way they've done it. Amazing Spider-Man 800. Retailers can look forward to more incredible variants to be announced. This is a thing that the final order cutoff is May 7th.
Oh, okay. So there's still a...
So, yeah, which is why when I was looking at the text file at the end, I'm like, why isn't it on the list of all the things that are going to be on FOC this week? Because it's not on FOC this week. It's going to be on final order cutoff the weekend, the Monday after Free Comic Book Day. So they've still got, from the time we're recording this, about another 10 days that they could announce more variants for Amazing Spider-Man 800.
So
even if I could bring up a list of all the open order variants that they are promoting to fans, it would not be a complete list. They would still be adding more. They know they're going to be adding more.
why is Amazing Spider-Man 800 4 weeks away from now when $7.98 and $7.99 were bi-weekly?
Don't know.
Why don't you just bump $7.99 back a week, and then it's a 3-week gap in between each?
That's always been the question with Marvel. I'm looking at X-Men Grand Design right here, and that was a book that they released 2 issues in like a 3-week period.
Yeah.
And then they had basically another 7 months until the next issue ships, and it's like, you've got all this time. Why do these 2 books that are gigantic comic books, that are high-priced comic books, have to come out so close to one another?
Yeah. And the trade came out already, too.
Yeah. Which, I mean, and the trade was months between. It was about 3 months, maybe, between the final issue and the collection.
That's still fast, but...
It's pretty fast.
I mean, for that book, when the next chapter won't be until
July.
End of this year or next year.
Nope, July.
That's weird. They initially said a year in between each one.
July. It is in the new catalog.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. What's it called? X-Men Grand Design 2?
I can't remember, probably.
Chapter 2?
Yeah, book 2 or something like that. I honestly don't remember.
How bad is July as far as saturation of product?
I don't really remember. It's not great.
I mean...
There's not as many weekly books, but there's definitely more stuff is coming out. Not only is Marvel launching more books, but DC's launching more Justice League titles. It's a busy few months. The Bendis ongoing stuff launches in July.
Yeah.
Batman 50 and 51 are out. Catwoman #1 is out. There's a lot of stuff coming out from DC, and then Marvel's got. I can't remember what launches they've got, but they've definitely got some stuff that's coming out.
Captain America.
Cap, Amazing Spider-Man. I can't remember what else.
Oh man, I thought Amazing was June. It's in July?
I think it's in July, yeah.
Okay.
I think. I could be wrong on that.
Well, I can't remember because I didn't order June yet.
Yeah. But there's stuff. Summer is not slowing down in July.
I mean, it's usually packed, but we're beyond packed too.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. And having people buy full sets of Action 1000, on the one hand, it's like, hey, we would love it if you just spread that money around to other books, but it's not like they were going to, you know?
I don't know about that. I mean, most of the people that for subscribers that were getting full sets, most people off the shelf did not get a full set. 1 or 2 people I can think of did. Most people got 3 or 4 covers, but they didn't get everything. Subscribers, a few of them got everything, and some of them were folks that don't get a lot of stuff. They might only get like Batman or Superman, and so they wanted all of these because they don't necessarily get a lot of stuff. Someone who only gets Doomsday Clock and Dark Knight's Metal and, event-style books wants all of them, but the average Superman fan doesn't. But there were people who got full sets that get a lot of stuff. They had a very big week this week with 9 copies of Action.
My point was, I don't think that was money that they're saying, well, I can't try this new Image book this week because...
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you were saying like they would be opposed to they were never going to try other stuff anyway.
No, I just mean like it wasn't cutting into their budget.
No.
Like that. Often I think that when someone buys 2 covers of any book, I would think, why don't you try Infidel instead? Mm-hmm. But, again, we say this often, it's not our place to tell people how to buy or enjoy comics.
No, not really.
And it's not as if somebody who buys a second copy of Action would have wanted to try Infidel anyway.
Probably not.
There's no correlation. I do want to say how great it was that Boom Studios let us sell their products at midnight as well.
Yeah, man, they realized you got a lot of folks coming in that are excited about comic books. You might as well have some more comic books to sell them.
Yeah.
Would have been nice if some of the other publishers had agreed to that, but...
Yeah, I know that, but it worked out once where Marvel said, okay, you can sell our books as well, or was it DC who did it for Marvel?
I don't remember.
I think it was Marvel in reaction to DC one. But yeah, thanks Boom for letting us being able to sell your product.
I guarantee you, some of the folks that came in at midnight wanted to buy Amazing Spider-Man $7.99.
Yeah,
couldn't sell.
We know that
was not allowed to.
And man, we sold out of Fence immediately.
Some of that is because we had a new subscriber to it, and somebody else wanted a copy that would, and both those people would normally have bought it off the rack, but they did. They opted not to do that.
Yeah, that new subscriber was already buying it from the rack. Right. They just signed up.
Right.
But my point is, I didn't get a chance to read it yet either.
Sorry, dude. We'll get some more in.
I hope. Goodness gracious. So while Marvel does have a lot of product coming out, and I'm genuinely excited for a lot of it,
Sure.
and I'm genuinely excited for the Dan Slott, Sarah Pichelli Fantastic Four book, and not just because Sarah Pichelli commented on the Serpent Crown rehearsal video I posted on Facebook this week. Not because of that.
So purely on the merits of the work.
Yes.
Not anything else.
Exactly. But what I think may be a misstep is today they released the cover to issue number 1. And so Fantastic Four is drawn by Sarah Pichelli.
At least to start.
And the cover is by
Esad Ribic.
Esad Ribic.
Okay.
In his muted tones.
Yep.
And it looks like different costumes.
I mean, I assume the costumes are going to be different because of a new artist coming on the book and there being a huge gap. And I don't know that anyone's like, yes, we have to keep the Leonard Kirk costumes. We can't change them.
Well, those were red to begin with.
Right. So I don't think people are that worried about it.
But I mean, he's a fully rendered painterly artist.
Yep.
And the book is not that.
No, and the cover has a style to it that I don't know if it's the same tone the book is going to have.
Yeah, and
I don't know those. So.
I like Esad Ribic. His work on Thor was phenomenal.
Sure.
You know,
Secret Wars, man.
But not for that book.
Yeah, it didn't fit the kind of idea I had for Fantastic Four. But again, maybe it's a perfect fit. Maybe that style of cover and the tone of that image is exactly what the book is. I hope it's not.
Frankly. I mean, oftentimes I look at a cover and be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. But I look at that and think, for the launch of a Fantastic Four book that we haven't had in years, that may turn people off.
Oh, don't worry. There will be about 18 more covers that people can choose from.
Yeah, that we won't necessarily carry.
No, but I mean, they'll have them on the market to choose from. And I'm sure there will be at least one cover where people come in and go, oh, you didn't get that cover? Which is the most fun thing, to have a stack of a comic book and go, oh, you don't have the variant?
Oh, yeah. There was a guy who wanted Amazing Spider-Man.
Nothing makes me want to shut the lights off and lock the door faster than that. That was, it was last Wednesday, I think. That was one of the first interactions we had with someone who's like, oh, you don't have the variant? It's like, we've got 15 copies of the regular cover.
Oh, that was Deathstroke.
Oh, you don't have the variant?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we only have the comic book. I'm sorry about that. That's clearly our stupid mistake.
Maybe it was because we had a lot of new people in, but it felt like this week, more than any since we changed over, nobody could find the new releases.
That was a weird problem on Wednesday. We've had the new releases in the section they've been in for the last...
Well, for a month
and a half.
Yeah.
And even the first day, people were finding it no problem. I think we had one person who had to go, hey, can we help you find anything? And they're like, yeah, where are the new books at? And we had to go, they're around the corner. But on Wednesday, I mean, it must have been at least 6 people that would basically get... And I could see it happening. They'd step in, they'd step past the front counter, they'd see the comics rack, they'd stand in front of the first one where the A's are, not see Action Comics 1000, and go, do you have Action Comics 1000? So even if we would have had it the way we had things before...
It'd be under S.
They would have never seen it. It would have been in the DC section, under S. Like, they would have never found it in the first rack at the front of the store. That would have been other publisher. That would have been Image. That would have been Marvel. It was not DC. And even if it was DC, it wouldn't have been the first DC rack because it would have been under S for Superman with the Superman books. So that's the thing where it's like, it didn't make me want to change the way we did things because clearly they were never going to find it. We've talked about this before. There's people who come in who have no interest in learning what your scheme is. They don't care what the system is for racking your books. They're going to walk in, they're going to look at you and go, where is this thing? Doesn't matter where it is. Doesn't matter the signage you've made or how you can explain where it is. They don't care. They do not have the time for that. They don't have the interest in it. They're there for one thing. They're going to look at you and you're going to tell them and hopefully walk them over to where it is so they can forget the store ever existed. They don't care.
Yep.
And that was a few of the people who came in for Action 1000. They came in for this special book. You won't see them again until another special book comes out. That's it.
But there was numerous times where if you hadn't said, can we help you find anything? They would have just walked out. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know this. We know that's a thing. But the one guy who's like, don't you have an Amazing Spider-Man? So I walked him to the rack, which, as you all know, is now in the back of the store. So I had to go further than ever before, only to have him look at the 2 large stacks we have and say, oh, you don't have the other cover?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't have the variant? That is honest to God one of my... And I hate saying this because someone listening to this podcast is going to come in and say it to me as a joke. And let me stop you right now. It's not going to be funny. I'm just going to get angry hearing it because, oh, you don't have the variant, said in a dismissive tone, is... There's almost no quicker way to make me see red now. Like, that is the most... We don't kick people out of the store for, like, being dumb or being jerks or whatever. Like, obviously, if you cross a line with a subscriber or you do something that's offensive in some way, yes, we'll ask you to leave. But someone just being a bad comics fan is not going to make me kick them out. But, oh man, I come close with, oh, you don't have the variant? I just want to grab them by the lapels and scream, no, we have the comics! But that's not what they want to hear.
This is only tangentially related, but how often will somebody be getting something first thing on a Wednesday, and you'll say, hey, like, oh, you're getting, a last issue of Batman. Did you want the new issue of Batman that came out this week? Oh, I got that one already. It's 11:02. Like, what? How? Clearly they must have a subscription somewhere else, or are just dismissing you.
Maybe.
But just I got that one already.
How?
Where?
How? Then why didn't you buy this there?
Or occasionally there's I bought that last time. No, it literally came out today. No, I'm pretty sure I got it.
Oh, now you're just lying to me to get out of this conversation.
Okay.
Just say that.
That's fine.
No, thank you. I would rather not have this conversation.
Oh, or just say...
You got it.
Maybe just say, I didn't want it.
Uh-huh. No thanks.
That works, too.
No thanks.
That works.
Too clever for their own good.
Oh, my goodness. We were able to get our Deadpool tickets today.
Yeah, I woke up to find out that not only did Deadpool tickets go on sale, but that Patrick had already secured them for us, which I was very grateful for, because I woke up late today. I was sleeping in, man. I needed it real bad after that Wednesday.
I was not. I had a bunch of chores I had to do, a bunch of errands to run. But my phone is next to my bed. So even if I'm not ready to get up, I'll still look at it. Okay. But I had a message from Fandango saying, Deadpool tickets are out, and I thought, I have to get up. If I go back to sleep for an hour,
they will be gone.
We'll be seeing the midnight show or whatever.
Yep.
So I got up, and at our preferred theater, at our preferred time, there were 5 seats left, and only 2 of them were together.
Did you watch the new trailer, or are you done watching trailers for Deadpool?
Oh, I think I'm done.
Okay. There was a new one because of the release of the movie tickets, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Okay. I don't want to have a joke in my head waiting for it, Sure. And I don't want to be expecting a scene that may or may not happen, because trailers are so different now.
I don't blame you for not doing it. I was just curious if that was one that you would see 2 trailers of and be like, the end.
Yeah, obviously with like Avengers, I'm staying far, far away from it.
But when there's a new trailer in front of Infinity War for Deadpool 2, are you okay watching it, or are you going to...
I'll watch it. Like, I'll watch any Venom trailer, because I don't care.
No.
But I don't like seeing trailers for movies that I want to see after I see it the first time.
Sure.
But then a movie like Beirut, I never saw a trailer for. No. I just read a description and thought, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
It was so good.
But then you see trailers for movies that, whether you want to see them or not, it's drilled into you.
How many Blockers trailers did I have to see?
That is
so many Blockers
That is
trailers.
a movie pass problem. We can't complain about that.
It's true. I mean, when you go to see enough movies at the same theaters, you're going to see a lot of the same trailers, because those theaters are only going to get so many movies,
Yeah,
even a larger theater like City North that has, I think, 14 screens, realistically is only going to get at most 3 new movies in a week.
Yeah.
So when you're, a month out from a lot of these movies, they only have a pool of like 10 trailers they can show you anyway.
I'm already tired of seeing Mission Impossible trailers because the movie doesn't come out until July.
Yeah, that's true.
And we started seeing them how long ago?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, so, I understand you need to keep people excited, but
sure.
I don't know. I like it when a trailer like Let's Be Cops or Game Night or Tag comes out for a movie that looks super fun.
Hotel Artemis.
And you never heard anything about it. Hotel Artemis is the perfect example.
Somebody had mentioned that to me a day before I saw the trailer, and I'd never heard of it, and I'd forgotten about it by the time the trailer came out. But they'd said, like, hey, there's this movie that's, like, about, like, a hospital for criminals. It's kind of like The Hotel from John Wick. But it's got Batista, and it's got Jodie Foster, it's got Jeff Goldblum, and I'm like,
It's got Paperboy.
But they didn't mention that to me, and they didn't mention that it had Sterling K. Brown as the lead. But it's like, oh, that sounds awesome. I'm totally going to check that out. That sounds cool. And it's a dumb, fun trailer.
Do you remember when John Wick #1, the comic, came out?
Yeah, probably a few months ago.
Wasn't it like October?
Maybe. It had been delayed for quite a while.
It had been delayed for a while, but and it's so long for #2.
Mm-hmm.
That is a book that did really well for us, and I think that the delays are going to kill it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to find out. It's anything licensed like that, there's usually a huge drop-off between 1 and 2. People see issue 1 and they're like, oh, I love that property, and then they buy it and then they realize, oh, I don't love it that much, or I love the original version of it as a movie, TV show, animated series. I don't love it as a comic book. So I think that alone is going to kill interest in an issue 2. Very few people stick with these things long-term. Almost every licensed book that we've ever carried sees... like a 70% drop between issues 1 and 3.
With this week being such a huge DC week, I don't want to overlook some books that have come out that
comic books
that I love personally.
Like what, Patrick?
Well, I'm not even finished with my books for the week. Like, I haven't read the new Black Hammer #1 yet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Infidel #2 was great.
Yeah,
I think it's really spooky, really creepy,
cool.
a wonderful. Like, it's hard to do a good horror comic book.
Yes.
That is a good horror comic book.
Cool. I hope people enjoy it.
It's very moody and creepy. The Damned came out with... not only does the next trade come out next week...
Yes.
It's Volume 2, but it's the first 5 issues of the current series. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't read Volume 1, A, you should.
You should.
But B, you can pick up Volume 2, and start from there.
Yeah, you can.
That's completely fine.
Yeah.
This new story arc is a flashback, and it's great because... like, some of the major characters from the first 2 story arcs,
mm-hmm.
you get to see them before.
Yeah.
Before they sold their souls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, they're completely different, and it's fun because you're reading it, and they don't say previously or
no, they just
years
start
ago.
off.
They just start,
yeah.
And you pick it up as you go.
Yep.
Yeah, so well done. A book I've been raving about for a while finally came out, Vera Brogsal's Be Prepared.
Mm-hmm.
It is a great... all-ages book, a coming-of-age, a camping story, isolation and loneliness, but not.
Yeah.
It's super fun. Did you get a chance to read it?
I have not yet, no.
Yeah, really, really enjoy it. That's great. But I want to mention now a book that I just finished today, and you haven't read it yet, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It is called All the Answers by Michael Kupperman.
Neat. I didn't know we got a copy of that.
I know. I was hiding it from you until I was finished with it.
Okay.
And Michael Kupperman, who A, has been to Challengers once before, B, has just the most wonderful, absurdist sense of humor.
Yeah, he did Tales Designed to Thrizzle.
Yeah, and Snake and Bacon. This is not that. This is an autobiography. Mm-hmm. This is mainly about his father, who was a very famous quiz kid on the TV show Quiz Kids.
Cool.
In the 50s, and he was on that show for 10 years, and this is his life, and Michael is trying to get all of the answers from him because his father is in the late stages of dementia and can't remember any of it.
Sure.
And as someone whose mother is in the late stages of Alzheimer's herself, this book was not about pity or feeling bad.
That's good.
This book was about not being able to find the answers or to be able to connect with that person, especially now. And it's one of the first things I've read about people with these types of diseases that didn't make me think of my situation and how bad it is.
Okay.
Because that's not what the book is about. This book is great. I loved it. This is it comes out on... It has a date. I can't find it. Oh, goodness. It had a specific day, and it's not... It says May, so it comes out in May.
Okay.
But I had a date. We've already ordered this, obviously.
Sure.
It'll be a $25, I presume, hardcover.
Okay.
Loved it.
Cool.
Really good.
Nice.
There's a quote from Ken Jennings on the outside of it.
Quiz Kid Ken Jennings.
The only 2 things I like are Michael Kupperman and quiz shows. This is my perfect book.
Yeah, I would say so.
Didn't we learn years ago it was Kupperman and we were saying it wrong?
I don't know.
Ken Jennings, best-selling author of Brainiac. All the Answers, Michael Kupperman, a graphic memoir. Eisner Award-winning creator. And it's from Gallery 13, which is a new publisher for him.
Nice.
Yeah, I loved it.
Cool.
Really good.
I look forward to reading it.
Here, I'm handing it to you now.
Thanks, dude.
I'm sure Kent would love a chance at it when you're done. If you
okay.
Or I mean, you can buy it when it comes out.
Sure.
Yeah, really, really good. Like that would be a book selection of the month coming up. I say it like that because we have upcoming at the end of the month in a week or so our book party for Beautiful Darkness, and I think it's going to be our last one.
Yeah, at least until we have a better idea on how to approach it. The hope was that a book party would bring in a larger crowd or make the kind of, again, going back to what we were talking about with the midnight releases, like we put a lot of effort and energy into doing the book nights, and I am super grateful for the people who do show up. It's just not a large enough crowd to do it consistently. It takes up time out of our schedule. It's after-hour stuff. We pay money for the snacks and the drinks. It's just not enough people, and we're not selling enough copies of the book to make that worthwhile. So we're probably just going to start recommending books and doing a discount on them for a month and not doing the getting together after hours component of it.
Yeah, I mean, we love the people that show up.
Yeah, again,
but
very grateful to them.
They're also the same people that show up to a lot of things, and I feel like we'd be helping out their schedules a little bit.
Maybe a little bit
as well.
By making it something they don't have to show up for.
Yeah. So here's the thing that we'll be a little bit vague about. You and I were invited to a very fancy private dinner last Saturday for a colleague's brain trust, if you will, for his new business venture.
Sure.
And it was basically 10 people who are...
nerds.
Yeah, nerds, like...
10 nerds.
Influencers to an extent, like people that have...
Tastemakers, just say it.
No. No, you've already snickered twice.
I have.
And when I'm trying to tell the story.
I have.
But it's somebody who is very successful in their chosen field and is opening a new venture and wanted to talk to people about, like, basically wanted to say, here's the problems we're having, what do you think? Like, he wanted to crowdsource the solutions or to get opinions.
Sure.
And I think it was an honor to be considered for this roundtable, as it were. And also the food was excellent.
Yeah.
But while we were there, I was talking to somebody who also has a background in comic book retail previously. And he'd said, one of the things that I've always liked about you guys is that you're never afraid to say, this isn't working, let's not do it.
Sure.
One day I want to...
a lot over the years.
Sure, like I actually kind of want to sit down and make a list of all the things we used to do but we don't.
Okay.
And like whether it be policies or events or specifically things like, Challengers Assembled.
Sure.
Or Parker's Pick. Or having Scotty Young's art table. Which, by the way, he's moving again, and he has another art table to get rid of. And I said, I kind of feel like we should take it,
right? Just
because we did the last one, but we will not take it because we have nowhere to put it.
It's true.
And it's also
way south.
Massive.
Way south.
I mean, it'd be a fun trip out to get it.
Sure, I've driven through that part of the state before. It's not terrible. It's boring. It's not terrible.
Yeah, but again, this goes back to what we were talking about last week, where we don't just quit things because we're tired of them. We quit things because they've run their course.
Yeah, or again, it's really just a matter of how much effort and energy we're putting into this, how much money we're putting into it. Would we be better off not doing this than doing it? Like, there is a financial equation that goes into it, which is, we're paying X amount of money for the support of this event to sell product. I mean, a lot of the things that we do, most of the things that we do are specifically to try and raise sales. We're doing a midnight release because people will come out at midnight and buy a book. Without a buy a book component, there's really no reason for us to be at the store for 45 minutes around midnight. There's just no reason for it. I don't want to do it.
Especially if these are people that wouldn't necessarily come get it from us the next day.
Right. Or, they might go someplace else, or they might not even buy it, or they'll come because it's an event. We do Free Comic Book Day because while people are there getting free comics, they're also buying stuff. It becomes a valuable event. Most stores that do Free Comic Book Day will cite it as their most successful sales day of the year. We do things like Batman Day, or book parties, or release events, or signings to sell products. When the sales are not there for those events, for whatever reason, we have to re-examine if those events are worth doing. We've talked before about the difficulty of doing signings, making them pay off because of how much cost is built into it. If we're paying $500 to fly someone out and put them up for a night, but we can't make $500 in profit selling their book at the event, it's not worth flying them out. We're better off selling way fewer copies and making a profit on it than we are selling more copies but losing money.
Yeah, honestly, anybody that we bring in the future is pure vanity, just like people that we just love or respect so much that we're willing to take a loss to do something with.
So all of the things that we've stopped doing, for the most part, even including like having things like Scotty Young's art table, a lot of it is looking at, well, we've got this art table. Are we selling art supplies? Okay, we're not. They're mostly getting stolen. Okay, great. Are people using the art table? They're really not. They think it looks neat, but they're not really using it. Okay, well, we've got limited square footage, and we want to have products here. Like, what products can we put here that might make money? The biggest version of that is Sidekicks versus the Gallery.
Yep.
The gallery looked nice, and people thought it was cool, but it wasn't making money, and people weren't using it a lot. So we got rid of it in favor of this room full of books that we can sell. And it makes way more money than the gallery ever did. So everything else we do is, this is going back to something we've spoken about in recent episodes. We are a business, and it's fun that people can look at our events and not see the dollar signs behind it, but let me assure you, there are dollar signs behind it. We are looking at these things as potentially bringing in revenue. Even if it's not immediate, it's hopefully essentially buying goodwill with these events that someone will then come back and want to buy books from you. If we can't make that math work, it's not worth doing the events. Then we're just throwing money away in real terms.
And here's something that we did recently to hopefully make a little bit more money that seems to be working out, is the genre racking of the graphic novel.
Seems that way.
And after a month of racking it that way, I would call it a success.
Yeah, we haven't really had problems of people not being able to find stuff. It's servicing books in a way that we definitely wanted to see happen, where people are finding things that maybe have been on the shelves for a while that in 12 bookshelves they can't find them, but in 2 bookshelves they can. It's pretty much doing what we wanted it to do.
Yeah, just looking at the way you phrased it this week was you're reordering as much sci-fi fantasy as you are superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're reordering stuff for all the sections. I mean, we're filing books every week in crime and mystery and drama and humor. So there's not like one section that's like, no one's getting any of these. Like, no, they're getting stuff from all of the sections. It's all selling. People are finding all of it.
All right, well, this upcoming Saturday, when you are hearing this, hopefully the timing works out, but this upcoming Saturday is going to be Michael Marici signing at the store, signing his brand new book from Vault, Wasted Space #1. We have, at this point, 2 different covers. And Michael says it's the most fun he's had working on a comic.
Great.
And also, at the same week that Wasted Space came out, he did an issue of Nightwing.
Yeah, that's true.
And we'll have that as well as all his other work.
Yep.
But he was actually just in this week buying Wasted Space.
He was.
Amongst other books from friends of his in the industry.
Neat.
But it'll be a Saturday signing. The first time we've done a Saturday signing for Michael, so we can get maybe a different selection of people in. And Michael is always a good conversation as far as the industry goes for us, and a guy who gives a lot of time to the people that come to see him.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully you'll come out and see Michael Marici for Wasted Space, and then we talked about Beautiful Darkness, but then, Free Comic Book Day is looming ever closer every week.
Yep.
And not only do we have all the things that you expect from us, like thousands of free comics, cosplayers, photo ops, we will hopefully have a very special Archie Comics graphic novel sale. And not only will we have Steve Lieber and Ryan Brown, and as we said a week or so before, Max Baer from Scally Ho, we will now also have Zach Lehner from Junior Braves of the Apocalypse.
Yep.
Volume 2 of that is coming out in August. And if you are a creator who wants to appear at Challengers on Free Comic Book Day, please don't ask us because we are full up.
We're very full.
We didn't plan to have 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 people now, and 4 people is pushing it.
Yep.
But please come see them and come get free books. And please, if you like this podcast, Contest of Challengers, which is a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network in Chicago, maybe you want to subscribe to it via iTunes. That's pretty cool. We had an issue with iTunes last week where people could not hear this, and it worked on every other, like anything on iOS, it didn't work. But if you downloaded it, it was fine. If you listened to it from our website or from the YouTube link, it was fine.
Weird.
But basically, iTunes just pulls from the Libsyn RSS feed.
Mm-hmm.
So once it's up on Libsyn, I don't foresee there being a problem. I did re-upload it to Libsyn,
mm-hmm.
and then it worked. I don't know what the difference was.
Weird.
But maybe if you do listen on iTunes, maybe you could rate it if you want, if you like it. There are like 8 years worth of podcasts to go back and listen to.
Wow.
And you could, stop by Patreon and be a patron at patreon.com/challengers. And we've been getting more people all the time, so thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
And you keep us honest, and you make us still do this and put a little bit more thought into it than we used to do when it was just us rambling as long as we wanted to.
Yes, totally different.
But hey, thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.